So hello everyone, good evening. How was your day? Did you watch the games? Did you have fun? We're back here with my favorite lecture, Endgame Exclam, here at St. Louis Chess Club. So I kind of go back to the night endgames. What inspired me was, we had a lot of endgames in the Grand Chess Tour in the past couple of days, and we would see a lot of moments, a lot of drama, miss the draw, miss the win. And with clocks ticking and a few seconds left, you say, "Oh wow, how could they miss the top players?" But it's really hard. And I had few examples, some of these positions from past, and I could see how Endgame keeps repeating itself. So we can see again the role of classics, and the more you study, the more examples you see, the better you're off. And it's never enough to see more, even if it's in a repetitive format, and you never run out of endgame material. You might think that it's kind of restricted in a way, but it's very deep and thorough. Okay, let's have a look at this one. What was so specific, those who were here last time, about the night endgame? That was, we were talking. One very important fact about the night endgames, that's a very important one, that applies, and it's because you're dealing with knight. Knight cannot lose a tempo. Because of that, the night endgames have very rare characteristics that we saw generally when you deal with night endgames, whether against knight versus knight or knight versus bishop, you get to see a lot of exceptions about the night endgame. So let's have a look at this position. It's white to move. Obviously, the king on f5 is shouldering or edging, or what are the other terms they use for it? Shouldering, edging, outflanking, all the stuff they use. That king on h4. But there isn't so much material left, and black kind of has some sort of activity here. So how do we approach this position? Let's say we give you a few minutes to think about it.
Knight c5 is an issue though, right?
What's that? Knight c5 is it?
The a4 pawn's weak, right? So knight c5.
Yeah, that's it. So
that's the.
For that reason, your knight is kind of tied down to c8, because that keeps the knight from coming to c5.
But the knight can never take that pawn because the other knight takes the b pawn and it's protected.
Yes. But we also have to realize that king on h4 is not going to sit there forever. It's trying to move forward. I wouldn't say forward, but move to the queen side by going to g3, f3, and all the way to defend. So this one is a simple one. What can we do here? King f4, king h5.
Direct approach.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that all these squares, as GM Carsten Muller and they were basically said, all these squares are mined. You cannot go to any of these squares. So basically, by elimination, to go forward, that's the only square you have. So you can go king g6. And now what happens after king g4? King e7. And the beauty is that I don't have also king e5. So now if I go king e4, king d4,
I see the problem. So we want king d6, king d4, but then we want it to be black's move.
oh yeah, it would have been fantastic. Yet we still have another square, right? So king d6, king d4, and king c6. And let's say if I make a move with my knight, just need to knight e7. There's no knight c5, right?
Yep.
The pawns will be promoted. Knight before, you just go grab the other pawn. Okay. Speaking of unique ability of knights and unique problem of knights, Yesterday, you saw Nakamura had almost Kasparov, right? Very close to win. It was a pawn up, knight endgame. The bishop had no target. Yet, because there wasn't enough material on the board, failed to convert. I always thought, okay, this is easy. But even when the knight dominates the bishop, in that game, that position, his king was actually dominating black's king. But even when the knight dominates the bishop, it's not that easy, even with the material up. And I was thinking, okay, I've seen something similar before. Well, I just couldn't recall. And I figured out I have this beautiful game from, yeah, this is fine. 2011, Anand versus Topalov in Amber Blindfold from Monaco. And let's have a look at this position. Yeah, this is Blindfold. Okay, this is the position. And as you can see, white is up a pawn, right? White is up a pawn. The knight dominates the bishop. And black king is absolutely, just black has only one defense, and that's passive defense. Yet, it takes a long way to convert this position. First of all, we have to consider whether to take on c6 or not. Why not? That. So, after king d6, what do you do? Bishop b6 loses to knight d7 check. That's the problem. After king to f7, c6, and you don't have enough time to stop promotion. So if king c6, there, king d6, bishop e1, because bishop e6, knight d7. So, but what happens after bishop b1? Just before I got to mention. c6.
Bishop e4 to e7.
Bishop to?
E4.
Bishop e4, knight d5 check.
Bishop d3 going in.
You don't capture that?
You can't capture that, right? What's that?
Bishop d3 to a6.
Bishop d3, the problem is that if you don't get to b7, there's a problem. Our bishop is on a very on a small on the short diagonal. Sorry, this the short diagonal. So if you go bishop d3, I think I have knight. I can play c7, bishop a6, and let's have a look. Let's have a look at that. So if bishop d3, I think I can play knight d7 check first. Oh, that's right. Wow, because you also, your king has, you cannot go to f7, you cannot go to, so you have to go to g7, and now I think I have enough time to play c7, right? Oh, knight c5 is easier, yeah.
Good enough, yeah.
Knight c5, because now I have the check actually on e6, and that's winning. I think c7, bishop a6, king e7 was also winning, but that's just a straightforward win. So that's how Topalov missed the chance, but the move was, of course, bishop e4. And after knight d5, there's this, actually we don't capture? We don't capture actually, because if we capture now, take king e7, king e5, we lose the opposition. If we take, I just didn't calculate that, because take, king takes, and king e7, king e5, king e8, king e6. Always opposition. But after bishop e4, yeah, we can go king f7, c7, but this is what I think Kasparov got. Does it ring a bell from yesterday's game? Kasparov had the bishop on h8. We'll look at that later. So you can, the question is that can you get to play knight f6 check? That's the question. But everybody knows the answer. Not. Why? Yes, because if it doesn't work in this position, then you cannot put me in a suksuang to get that same position. The knight cannot lose a tempo. So this is a draw. If this position is a draw, you cannot maneuver around with the knight and try to get the position that is winning. So, but the question is, how could white win in this position? And it actually takes like 10, 15 moves to win. Well, 10 moves to win it. And every move should be very accurate.
Well, if we can get the knight, drive the black king back and put the knight on e5 check, or just have the knight on e5, then we can take the pawn on c6 without losing the f6 pawn.
Well, the moment you have knight, knight d7, let's say, bishop to d5, then you cannot play knight d5 right away, obviously, right? So you have to maneuver your king somewhere, like say g5, and then you give it check. But then you'd have no access to the pawn on c6. And I just stay passive with my king on f8. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So who wants to take the challenge and find a win? It's a 10 moves win. You can write it down. I actually feel very bad. I think I was preparing for the World Cup. I had a match against Dominguez. Is that what year? What time? Yes, 12. Is it in March? Or it's in? I'm not sure if it's European or it's. I think it's in March. So if it was in March, I was preparing for my match against Dominguez in the World Cup, and I think I was doing some tactic, and it was one of the positions, and I didn't find it actually. So, well, where do you, as I say, I play bishop somewhere, bishop e3. You can put your knight on d6. The moment your knight is on d6, my bishop's going to be on d5 and my king going to be on f8. And if you play f7, obviously I'm not going to take because you take and play king d6. Then when you play f7, I just play king d7. So the idea of combining the maneuver to king h6, you want to support your pawn, and also attacking the pawn on c6, you have to combine both ideas at the same time. If you don't do that, if you want to do one at a time, you cannot win the game. You have to do some sort of backward induction. You have to see the final position and then try to build it from scratch. You have to see the one position. You have to envision the final position first. Actually, my mistake was at the time when I was trying to see it all the way through and get the winning position. But it's easier if you envision the winning position and then try to move backward. Well, the first move is obviously knight d7. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's say I play bishop. There's bishop e6 loses immediately. Just, there are well, as you're calculating, it's not only just about where I put my pieces. Tactics matter too. So, for example, bishop e6 loses immediately to king c6, right? The knight is defending the pawn. So, bishop d5, now this position. Obviously, we cannot improve unless we play king e5. So, this is also a forced move. And this, let's say I play king e8. Now, you have to think about where you want to put your knight. Now, it's the moment. Now, you're in complete control. White completely dominates the position. The king on e5, the knight you can put it anywhere you want. You have a pawn on f6.
So, what if we get the knight to b4?
Well, I'll put my bishop on f3.
So the knight should be on a square that controls f7.
Okay.
Because then.
So this knight e5.
So I was thinking d8, d6, or g5, but I'm not sure which.
Well, obviously not g5 because you're not close enough to the pawn on c6. So you can't eliminate that. You're not close enough to c6, right?
Yeah, so e5 seems like the ideal
Yeah.
square.
Well, e5, then e5, d8, or d6, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so.
If you get the position with the king on g6, knight on d6, I cannot show. If let's say you have your king over here, I can. Or let me build a new position. We'll get back here. If you get your king, I think I'm right, but just let's make sure about that. Even if you get this position with the bishop on d5 and it's black to move, I think I can take on f7 here. Can I? Let me just call the engines here just to make sure. Oh, I just can't wait. Oh, I can just wait. Cannot take on f7. Can't I?
Yeah, no, waiting makes sense.
I go back to b7. Okay, I didn't see b7. Okay, but maybe everything is a draw. Even this is a draw. I knew that it's a draw. I forgot about it. But yeah. So even this position, if you get to play f7 without a support for f8 square, is a draw.
I still like the idea of getting the knight to e5 and then walking the king all the way around to d6.
Well, let's do it. Go ahead, make some moves.
Well, let's see. Let's play knight b8, a6, b4, d3, e5, or try that.
Okay, a6.
Yeah.
Let's say here, b4. Go here.
d3.
Here.
Oh, that's annoying. Well, I can find another round. Let's do f2. I can get there from g4 or from d3, so I don't think you can stop me. So now king f5. The pin. Okay, well that's okay. I can still put the king on g5, right?
King on g5.
Let's find out. Now, man, that is hard to get to that square, isn't it? What's the right way in?
It looks very simple. It looks like if white completely dominates, right? You are in absolute control of everything. But when you want to try it in practice, it's not as easy, right?
How about knight h3
Yeah.
to f4? Now I can get there from d3 or from g6. It's hard to see how black can stop knight g6.
Yeah, black cannot stop knight g6. Could I stop knight f4 at all? I mean, I could go bishop f3.
I need to play king f5.
Then you can play
Cover
king
the
f4.
e4 square.
Yeah. So let's say I keep waiting. Okay, you got the desired position, sort of.
Well, I wanted e5. G5 maybe is good enough. But not like you said earlier, g5 is too far away from the c6 pawn.
Yeah. Well, we can get now.
Oh, but yeah, I can play knight e6 to f. No, well, no. Okay, so go back. Let's go to f4 instead.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
here's-
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's
I don't
say.
think you can stop me now. Unless
Well, actually, I can't play bishop f1, but let's say I play bishop f3. I want to see just what happens. Knight
yes,
g6,
knight g6,
bishop 2, let's say g2,
and now knight e5. Okay,
95.
that's the first step one.
knight e5. Let's at least make it a little bit difficult, so because that's
Yeah, sure. So step one. Now I'm going to walk my king all the way to the a file and up around to d6.
to a.
Yeah.
And we go f4.
So I don't think the pawn is. I think the pawn is safe now. So yeah, king f4 all the way around to a5 to d6.
Yeah, if you get here, yeah, this is. Can I go around? Let's say go
I
here.
don't think you can go around. Well, let's find out.
Let's find out. So king e3.
Yeah. Anywhere's fine. And then.
Yeah, this is winning. This is winning. But the question is that. What if I just stay? When you take, I play king c6.
Okay, so king c3, b4,
b4,
a5,
and I just put this guy over here.
wherever, yeah. b6, c7, and d6. Okay.
But now you can go check, and now you can go check and king e6.
Oh, yeah, maybe I
That
can
now
just
now is
invade
winning.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the bishop needs to be on d5 right now, doesn't it?
Well, but then you take on c6 with a tempo. Well, but the question is that here, instead of this move, maybe I could just play this move.
Yeah, so
After
get your
this,
king- yeah, that's a safer square for your king.
yeah, I go there.
Okay, so now what?
As you can see, we still don't have a win.
But, you know, if the white pawn were on f7 and the king protected it, the knight could go to g6 and the king.
Yes,
could go
or
to
d7.
checkmate.
That's well, just you promote to win. Yes, that's it, right? But that's why we just decided that The king should be on f8, so f7 wouldn't come with a tempo.
Right, so you're saying knight c6, king f7, knight e7, king takes, knight d5, king f7.
No, that
c6,
we know
king e8,
already.
That's the same position.
That's the
you showed
position you're
earlier.
saying. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Yeah, basically, had that bishop stayed anywhere along that a8 h1 diagonal, Topalov would make it draw, because you would provoke c7 and then king e8 bishop s3. That's exactly what we will look at next. That is Nakamura against Garry Kasparov. That's the next game we're looking at. Well, we can play actually ideas with f7 and king e6, king f6. That's also an idea.
But if your knight was on d8, can't black play king e8 sometime early?
Then I can.
F7.
Then I can play. Then I can. Then where your king should be. That's a good point. Where then when you play knight d8, the king goes to e8. Where your king should be.
Well, then you can just play f7. Oh.
Your king should be on h6. So you have to have your king on h6, then the knight on d8. If black doesn't try anything, then your king will maneuver back to d6, and that's how you win. Let's have a look at it.
Okay, so d8 was the critical square.
Yes,
So,
d8 was.
why is d8 the right square? I can see how we got there, but
Let's have a look at it. Okay, this is faster. Knight b6. Knight b8 is also winning. Knight b8 just a few moves faster. We look at knight b8 too. Knight b6. Okay, the bishop has to move. Let's say bishop g8 loses just so fast because king goes to. Now the bishop doesn't get to that diagonal, the h1 a diagonal. So they just knight d7 and just I grab the pawn. So bishop f3, knight c8. So I go there for now. Now I move my king. Knight b7. Now I go to d8. And now, well, this, and now knight d8, king there, king h6.
So this is the position we should have envisioned.
The knight on d8 and the king on h6. Doesn't matter if that king on f8 is the same. Then you can maneuver back your king. Or you can play
So why can't the knight be taken? Because
f7 and king g7. So bishop d5, f7, and then that's winning just right. Just promote the pawn. And again, what I forgot again is that in this position, the knight goes here to b7. I actually hope you didn't have the pawn on c6 here. If you remove the pawn from c6, I play king d5, c6, king to d6, or if the knight b7, king to c6. Because you always want, another rule of knight endgames, remember, the knight always wants to support the pawn from behind, from back. So for example, if your knight is on h4, and your pawn is on h3, you want to play knight g2 and h4. So that way the king cannot interfere. So let's have a look at that one is more instructive in a sense. This one is faster, but it involves a lot of tactics, small tactics. So knight b8. So it doesn't matter. Bishop g2, knight a6. So we did that maneuver actually. Knight e6 there. So we first got a knight there, but the point is that we get there. He won this. What is a sukswang? Okay, but I want to see if the other way around. This is knight to b6 because my own analysis and it's faster. But this one, I think I saw it in a book, so I think it goes with the sukswang. So with this one, to create this one, you kind of have to a little bit pay attention because, as we discussed, there are only certain positions that are sukswang. Because knight cannot lose a tempo. You cannot just move the bishop. It's not like bishop, you just move along the diagonal. So I think with the bishop on d5 is a sukswang. Yeah, because now the bishop has to move and you go king e6, king f6. And if the bishop moves to c4, I take on c6. If this bishop was anywhere else, it wouldn't have been a sukswang, right? I just would have moved my bishop and then it couldn't get there. And if king d7, then king f5. Okay, maneuvering. I think we finally get to have the knight to d6, and then the bishop. Finally, the point is d8 is square again. These were my analysis. I think somebody had problems with dancing around with the knight, so they took their time. But the key is that is square, and then king h6 again. Knight d8, king h6. Well, this was a whole lot more complicated than Kasparov's game, but the idea of the key is square for the knight and the key is square for the king and how you want to push the pawn is the main one. So if you want to look here, let's have a look how things went a little bit wrong for. So I just for the benefit of everyone, I just put it like this. We make a few more moves. We don't care about this part because this is not okay. This is actually a very interesting endgame I was looking at, but it's very complex and it's not related to our topic. So I'll leave it for next week maybe. So we get this position. Okay. But knights are very mysterious. What can we do now?
F6.
F6, right? Obviously, king takes f6 doesn't work, and if king takes here, and wins by a virtue of one tempo. There. So, bishop to c5, f7. Now, f8 is a threat. King goes back. Now we have this position. What's the right winning plan then? Not just moves, just what is the right attitude toward winning this position? You go after the a pawn. You go after supporting your a pawn. Why a pawn? If the pawn was on b4 or c4, surprisingly, it's not winning. Because you cannot create, because if the pawn was on b7, you'll have a king on c6, knight d5, king d8, bishop g3, same story. If you want to bring your king to a7, the bishop goes back to b8. You cannot improve, yeah. Well, the thing is that is draw that position if the pawns were on h4 and h3, because then you can go win, you can play knight b6, knight d7, promote, and then come back win the h4 pawn. So the position is winning, but with the pawn on with the a pawn, if when your king is on b7, you can. So let's say your king is advanced enough to shoulder black's king from approaching the pawn. If the pawn was on b7, you couldn't win on the b file. But because it's a file, you play a6 and you put the knight on b6, and then you kill any other plan of bishop getting to the pawn. That couldn't have happened with the pawn on b7, because the promotion square is of the same color. And if the pawn is on c6, okay, that's a good question. If the pawn is on c6, if the pawn was on c6, you actually could win again. Let's have a look at it. I'm discussing this position. We're just looking at if this could be win by. If the pawns were there, you could just put the knight on d5, play c7, the right moment, win the piece, and then come back with your knight. I actually show it when we go back to the Kasparov's game. I'll show how that wins. And then knight comes faster than the king to win the pawn on h4, and that's winning. So this position, this is a draw.
This should be a draw, right?
Yes. But if the pawn is on a6, because my king cannot be close enough, that's winning. So let's look at that. So that's winning. So king c4 was the winning move. And another important thing is that my king gets to b7 right on time. And this helps a lot, that you can win the pawn on h4. Well, if the pawn was on h5, you would have played knight c4 and you supported the pawn. But then you have to be careful when you push the pawn, because I might have counterattack with king e6. So the pawn on h4 is very helpful to have it, because the moment you grab the pawn, the moment you attack the pawn, you grab it and then you can play knight g2. You'll see why it matters.
Right, and this is always winning.
This is always winning, because if the pawn was on h5, it would have been a little bit tricky. And now, that's your question. What do we do? You grab the pawn, and then always defend from g2, and then h4.
If at the beginning black tried to walk his king to the h pawn, instead of going to the b side, and he tries to stack his bishop and then take the h3.
that's a nice one. If the pawn was on h5, that would have been a problem. The problem here is that when I play this move, you want to play, let's say, king e6. I can go king c6 first. The problem is that bishop
A7 here?
well, bishop a7, then I can go after the pawn
Oh,
faster.
yeah, okay.
The thing is that the problem is that I go like this. That's the problem. And now if you play king g5, your king is tied down to the pawn on h4. If you try to win the pawn, I can win the pawn on h4 and maneuver the knight all the way to the queen side and then support my pawn to be promoted. And because the pawn doesn't control the bishop doesn't control the promotion square, I get to get my pawn to promotion. Just put the knight on b6, king on b7, and the pawn gets there. So, yeah. But if that pawn was on h5, it was still winning. I probably had to play one knight f6, provoke h4, and then go back with the knight, and then do the same thing. Okay, the thing is that now I'm switching to a little bit of bishop versus bishop, because Nakamura happened to have another interesting game, third round against Quang Liem. That was a very interesting game. So, what's the repetitive pattern in the knight versus knight or knight versus bishop endgame? There are four themes that was repeating itself. Knight doesn't lose a tempo. You have to envision the right square for the knight, so you have to know where the knight belongs to, and it's always comes in a combination with your king. You usually don't think about knight and pawn. You usually think about knight and king. Where should my king be if my knight's going to be on d8? The other knight, always knight from behind, has to support the pawns. That was the third one. Was the fourth one or third one? Third one. And like the first one, knight tends to mine a lot of squares. So geometry matters a lot. So more than moving toward or moving away from things, in terms of, in chess we always like to, the king has to move toward the center to support things. When it comes to the knights, just simply see the geometry. Because knights just are not very conventional. They're just not moving in lines. So just a simple approaching or fading away, getting away from it doesn't work that way. So four things. The fourth thing is geometry. Actually, last time when I showed you, I'll show you at the end of the class, at the end of the lecture, when geometry matters. I showed a very beautiful study in our last lecture about the geometry of knights. So let's have a look at the next position. I never thought this much that how in bishop endgames tempo should be matter. I always think about the scope of my bishop. If I have enough squares so that my bishop can move along the diagonal. So if it's only two squares, usually when it comes to bishop and pawn versus bishop, when you always want to have the bishop on the longer diagonal. So if there is going to be a sort of a breach that you want to put the bishop between the lines, so your king be on the right place and your bishop has enough squares to move, so you won't be in a sort of a zugzwang. But surprisingly, and this is one of the interesting examples, I don't know if there's other draws, I was just happy to find this one. This is so complex. The pawn tempos, the pawn tempi decides the game. Here both players missed it, but this is just, we have a saying in Persian, thinner than a whisker. It just happens so beautiful. Bishop d3, and I was when I looked at it, when I was analyzing with the computer, I was like, what is this? I mean, this is just waste of time. The point is, after bishop takes e2, I play bishop e1. I force the pawn moves, and that one tempo decides the game. That makes it draw. I couldn't believe my eyes. a3, king goes to f8. Now it doesn't matter. Now you only want to create a fortress. h6. And after bishop, now you don't have bishop d3, because now I can take. And the mind the squares, white has moved this pawn to a3. White doesn't have enough tempo. It's a draw. Unbelievable. So you first think, okay, this is winning, right? And now I play b5. Doesn't have enough tempi. Actually, now you should be careful to push the pawns correctly, otherwise you lose. That is astonishing, this bishop d3. What do you think about pawn TMP in this position? No, you just want to have the bishop in the right square to be ready to stop white's king from maneuvering to c6. Obviously, that's where white wants to penetrate later on through. So bishop d3, bishop takes, bishop b1, a3. Oh, well, obviously, I mean, this trick doesn't work. I just don't fall for moves like e7. So a3, king f8, king e3, king and h6, and just white simply cannot progress. Let's say, for example, bishop c4. I looked at bishop f3. That's just doesn't matter. You just don't play a5 to give this a square, extra square c5. That may cause some problem. Just wait. And the point is that if I try too hard, I mean, basically, if you go there, that it's not try too hard. It just doesn't get anywhere. There's no entry.
So what about the winning plan in the game, playing d5 and king d5, c6?
Well, that there were no pawn on f5. He blundered the pawn.
Oh, right.
There were no pawn on f5. We will look at that now, shortly.
Even the pawns was still a draw.
It is not actually.
No, he played king e4 and king c3 was a draw.
Yes, but Quang missed at least 5 wins. We'll see how much. It's slap. I didn't say that it's. I didn't say that with few seconds there you really can only rely on your intuition, and this position was absolutely calculation based. There was no way that you could just make a move based on only intuition. In my opinion, it was impossible. So what happened was like you cannot expect more than what happened. But yeah, that idea with b5 actually was a little bit premature. We will look at that shortly. So here, then we realize that this move is not a good move. So bishop takes e2. So now it's obvious bishop e2 is losing for everyone, right? There's not enough tempo. If you calculate, just to simplify the calculation, just king here, king f3, king takes e6, same position. Voila, smart. Give me a high five. Good. What's that? The pawn is not on h6. That position after bishop b1, we played h6. After we provoked the move a3, then we played h6.
Bishops, white doesn't have a pawn on a3 and black doesn't have a pawn on h6, so shouldn't it be equal?
Well, it's black to move. The pawn is on h6, the pawn is on a3, and black plays b5, kills one tempo here. So let me show you again. Takes, well, yeah, this is the move, and then bishop d3, b5. That's if you play a6, then h3 is losing. You're right about this. If I play a6 here, white plays h3, and then it's just losing, right? So everything is symmetrical. The pawn moves. You just imitate your opponent's move, the black's move, and that's it. b5, b4, a5, a4, h4, h5. That's it. However, this kills the symmetry and saves the day. Because now b4, what happened by the way? h5, h3, h4. h5 first, right? What? What's which move? a4. That's a good point actually. Take a5, h3 losing, so b4 is the only move. Actually, this is winning now. For black, no? It's winning. We have a tempo here. Now h5. I lose to h6, h3, huh? So let's count it then. So takes a5, loses to h3, e6, a5, h5, h4, okay. So what about a6 takes and b4. Takes and h5. Ah, okay. a6. That you have that a6 last moment. Yes. h5. If h5. If h4. a5. If a5. h4.
You can tell because it's perfectly
Yeah.
symmetrical.
Yeah.
But
Just
white
take.
and black
Yeah.
have a pawn on 7.
Yeah. This take and h5. Right.
This
Yeah.
is perfectly symmetrical.
So a5, h4, h3, and if the h4, a5. Yes, that's it. What's that? You're losing? Let me see. Is it? Could it be losing? Oh, this is losing actually. Yeah.
No. How does it lose? H4 here?
h4, h6. Because I think I play king f6, and you're in Sukswang. You have to play king h6, and then I play f4. When I take on e5, you take king h5. I play king f6, and I force you to play king h6, and then I promote my pawn. Here, like this. You said h4 here?
Yeah.
h4.
Black for black.
Ah, it's.
It has to be H4, otherwise you lose.
No, I thought you said white h4 here.
Oh, sorry, no.
It's okay. Okay, a5, h4.
Yeah.
This is.
Should be
Is
winning
this
for
a
black,
true?
right?
Yeah, it's winning because I can play king f4. When you play h3, h6, now he's winning. Because king g5, I take and take
King F4.
king f4, and then. Yeah, this is king g3.
Too
Too fast. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, actually, maybe it's still a draw.
Why? King g3, h4, f4.
Oh no, it's fast enough. Keep this guy.
What's that? King g3, f4. So
Wow, that's tricky.
that's that one tempo decides the whole. So, anyways, he ends up in a losing position. Now we don't have the pawn. Let me see if I'm not missing anything. Okay. Yeah, bishop e7, then. Yeah, king e6 doesn't work.
King F4.
King f4, and then I take the pawn and then play king g4. Well, the bishop is badly placed. I can play king g4, and the bishop, you don't have any check on f3. I can go king h5 and grab the pawn on h6. So h6, bishop. Well, this was I was looking at. It looks very simple now. King f5, king g6. I think that's the first thing he missed.
Well, bishop c6, bishop e8.
Yeah, but then I just play b4 now. It's the same position. I play b4. I play first. Okay, if bishop c6, let me show. Oh, actually, I have analyzed this.
Yeah, I guess black has no move.
I just play bishop e2, and after black has no move actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
just play h3, h4, and that's it. I can't even prepare. I have the luxury of time to prepare. So that was the first time, but so basically he had to try to go through f5. So here he could play this, and I think just bishop d3. Now I want my king go through f5 too. Unless there's this move. Take, check. Ah, now there's this check. It's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that.
Well, you can play bishop d5, right?
Well, king
And then
f6.
you can-
Then I don't need to lose the pawn. That's my point. Is that can I just he maneuvered around. That's okay. This doesn't matter at all. What's that? Well, he was not trying to create the winning position, which was here. I'm a little bit surprised. I think I put it somewhere. Okay, for example, bishop c4 was a winning move here. He basically forced one of the pawns to move. That's another Sukswang. Because bishop a4, you have b5. Now your king will cut through. And then if b5, you just play bishop d3, and then king goes to c5 simply. You just need, even bishop e2, or not only c4, even this is enough. So he played b5. Now he commits to this position, and then bishop there. No, this is not winning. So b5 was actually a mistake, which actually, one and only one person said it's a mistake. That in the live commentary, Kasparov.
Yeah.
He was just, by the way, the bishop is misplaced on d3 because he saw that king comes to d4 with a tempo. That is actually not.
Right, so that was my thought. If you put the bishop on e2 or f1 and then play b5, it would be enough, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess actually you don't even have to because bishop e2 wins because the suit's wrong anyway. But
Yeah.
if it was in the same position with the bishop somewhere else, b5
Yes,
would be enough.
yes. The only place that doesn't win is actually d3. Any square but d3 wins. So, and it happens now then b5, bishop h5, and king goes to c6. Now, okay, but the problem is, of course, this. I think by the body language when I was watching the games live, I think he missed this check. I think that's what Quang missed. Because this moment, if the bishop is on h5, the same position after you play king d4, I can take, and after take this, that one tempo matters a lot when he pushes the pawns. Bishop f1, king c5 will never win. Because we have the wrong corner. So king takes b6, that's the only way. And then here happened horrible blunder. But with 10 seconds on your clock, how can you make a decision here, huh?
King c3 is closer than king
Well, it's not closer.
c4. It's
What
closer
you're
because the king's on c5.
What you're doing with king c3 is an absolutely different defense method than king e4. With king e4, you're just simply trying to stop. With king c3, he did play king e4. With king c3, you're creating a counter attack. And then king a4. So now it's actually white who has to be careful. a6 loses to king a5. Now white is in zugzwang. It's losing. It is losing.
Bishop on d7, right?
Yeah, a7. You just wait with your bishop. Now we are happy. We have a bishop. We don't have a knight. We can lose as many tempo as we want, and that's not a problem. So, but
D6.
there's only one last trick here. Black has to be careful about, and that's when you push the pawn to a7. You have to put the bishop on a8 because king a6 is a threat. We don't pay attention to these kind of squares. That's the only move, because if you go anywhere, king a6, bishop b7. Yeah, king a6, king c5, b6, king c6. That's how you hold. Actually, you win or no? That's a draw. That's wins because king a5, bishop b7, and then it's a success. But this is, you see, bishop there, and this is a square we tend to forget about actually. That now I want to push my pawn. So then bishop a8, king c7, and then, I like it this way. Stalemate, yeah. It's my favorite way of making a draw, stalemate. 2015, when I was a little bit working seriously on chess, and at Texas Tech, we used to have this training with our coach that we would sit and do a lot of studies. And who's this? Not Troitsky, the other, is it Troitsky or Rink? They're big on stalemate. We did zillions of stalemate. So whenever I see, found it. So there, I think Rink had more than 200 studies in stalemate, just Rink. Okay, this one is such a beautiful gem. We do not have so much time to go over the whole material. There are a few interesting moves here when the pieces are on the board, but I show you this position. Again, same idea. Bishop to d3. Always keep the pawns from going, and then the counter-attack idea here. King to e5 was played. White played king c7, king f4, and white missed this beautiful move, king d6, following the bishop. So if you can tie down your opponent, tie him down or hair down. This is study. Bishop d3. If I go, let's say, I don't know. I don't see any way. So king a5, for example, king just c5, or wait, h5. Eventually wins. So So king e5, king c7, king there, and this is beautiful. Now,
So h5.
h5. Okay, do you want to try this one? Well, b6 is forced, and now king g4. King e5, bishop f3, king f6 should be played because that's the mutual zugzwang. And then I play h4, king g6, then I play bishop b7, and my idea is to play h3, king f3, and when you play king g5, I always have bishop c in the right moment. I don't need that. I can just play king g2.
So playing king e6 doesn't help.
King e6, king f3 doesn't work actually. King e5. If I go bishop b7, then you can go king f5. But
So it must be
king
h3 or
e6,
h4 then.
yes, h3.
Because he only moves left.
If I take, then f4, then king e5 and f5. One of the pawn will be promoted. Well, black doesn't lose, obviously, because king g4 and the h pawn will be promoted. So I promote the f pawn. So this king, this is a draw. So f4, but the more challenging one is king f3.
So white needs to get after the h5 pawn.
Yes, so king comes to e5 with a tempo. h4.
Oh, so king f6 is not good enough. Because king f2
Is not or is good enough?
It's not. Oh, because you go back to
e5, you go back to e5. That's beautiful. Well, actually, you can actually sacrifice, but you can go also king f6. That's also a draw. b7 is better. Takes and then king f5. That you can force it. Yeah, but b7, and then the king goes all the way to there.
Wow.
This is beautiful. This is very beautiful. And after king f4, king a6. Okay. h4. Oh. Yeah, that's a draw. It really doesn't matter. Just king goes all the way to h6 actually. I play all the tempi, but then king h5. So if even I had one more extra tempo here, didn't matter. You can go king h6. Even if you pass the move to white, you still can play king h6. We have enough tempi.
Yeah.
So h5, the bishop's overloaded.
Yeah. And when I was studying, when I first saw this position, again, long time ago, what is interesting is that to study these positions, the bishop versus pawn, are very similar to what Dvorsky calls the corresponding squares and the minus squares. If you learn it with that concept, so h5 is a minus square because, is a corresponding square. It corresponds to b7. If you decoy the bishop, making a move to b7, you get to h5. That's a draw. So that is an interesting thing, in my opinion. If you want to learn bishop and pawn versus bishop versus pawn, no other bishop versus pawn, read the first chapter of Dvorsky's Endgame manual on pawns. It's a fascinating work. I like the concept. Maybe the positions you could find big materials with more coverage of different with more variety of positions, but definitely the way he explains the concepts is very professional, very interesting. So that I would strongly suggest. Okay, we have the one more position. Now this one is covered. Was that this one? I think we went over this. The last thing I have for you, do not overpush. Have you seen this one today? Caruana against Dominguez. Can you believe this one?
In his defense, he had like 10 seconds.
Who?
Black.
Who's that? Black said he had 10 seconds only?
Yeah.
Well, you think this is the moment that you think that there's absolutely no way that I can lose a game.
Yes.
And that's when things can go wrong. When you lose objectivity, it doesn't matter. So, and this happens to us more than we think.
Yeah.
More often than we think, yeah. So, King F5 was his best try, I think. Although, even Rook H6 is a draw, but I think it was the best practical try. The king goes to E4.
I
But
was wondering during the game, why not just King G5 and then H5?
that's what happened.
Oh.
Surprisingly, White's
this
king
is
looks
F3.
looks passive, but it actually has a lot of counterplay through the H file. But King F5 actually was the best try because most likely I don't think Caruana was going to play F3 in this position, because this is a draw, but only one way to make a draw. Because now Dirk is beautifully cutting the king. Now I have to make right moves. Check to kind of push the king to the C file, so stop the pawn from just, because if Black gets to play C4, King C2, C3, it's going to be promoted. That's for sure. And now here he has to play G4. This is the moment to create a counterplay. If he waits one move, that could happen to someone. Now I have F3, you don't have enough time. Rook F6, King B2, take C3. And is it winning? Oh, actually King D2. Actually King D2 takes C3. And then Rook F8, Rook D5, C2, C2, C1. And that's winning. So King D2. So that was, he has to go G4 right moment, this moment. And not even G3, because F3, that one tempo decides. I played it, I blitzed it through with those 2 pawns being advanced enough matters. So this was his best practical chance. And then here, F3 was his last chance. Obviously, G takes F3 loses, but then G3 would save the day. So that was his best chance at the end. Rook D5, Rook C8 there, and then this, obviously, this is enough. Stop the pawn, and unfortunately Rook D4 doesn't work because it doesn't create any threat. Just go King H4. Both pawns will promote at the same time. So, and if, let's say King D3, then the king is there, and I'm in time to liquidate the pawn, sacrifice the rook for the pawn, and push the f pawn. Also, again, this position, G4, is not the only way, but the best way. And other ways were practically difficult in 10 seconds on the clock. Okay, hope you guys had fun. I a little bit had to blitz through because the analysis were kind of in depth, and we had. I wish I could give you some more time to think about it, but next week we'll have some more fun positions as well. Thank you.